Welcome to Anecdotes for Success with Matt and Paul. Storytelling is an art form, emphasizing the value and learning that is created through personal experience. Our purpose is to share these stories and experiences with the listener. Everyone has a powerful testimony. Let's use them to level up to our best life with truth, meaning, trade-offs, and perspective.
We're sticking to the podcast in the early hours of the day because that's when people that do a lot of things can get together, right? Uh, we have Tyler on. I'll let him introduce himself. Near and dear to us, Matt, you've known him since the senior year of high school. He was a student in my class, and I see him all over town. And I had a great conversation with him a couple months ago and said, "You've got to come on the podcast." So welcome, Tyler, and start off by telling us about yourself. You graduated in 2023, so it's not like you've probably been up to much since then, but go ahead and talk to us.
That's right. Yeah. So graduated in 2023, went to New Visions. Since New Vision, since graduating, life's just been crazy busy. Like the past just 2 years have absolutely flown by, absolutely just grinding, building a business while also just promoting it at the same time, working every single day, 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, except in the wintertime. Of course, in the wintertime, there's still work to be done with the business, promoting it, doing some advertising, getting new clients. But basically, spring, summer, fall, anywhere from as soon as March hits all the way to about January 1st is just like it's a blur. It goes by so fast between all the work and projects that we do.
And then what do you do in the winter? What do you do in January and February?
Yeah, so January typically, so I go to Florida. February last year I did go to Florida because January I'm like I got really bored. I didn't realize how bored I would get being in Florida that long. So February this year I might try to stay down there, but get something going down there where it makes me stay down there longer.
I knew it. I knew you wouldn't just go down there and sit. That's not how entrepreneurs work. But uh, before we get going with some more questions, I want to go back to high school uh, because viewers have heard the class I teach, all the students are very motivated. They have good grades. And the next step that most educators push is always college. And I remember you had a huge decision to make because I think it was engineering you were thinking of getting into.
Yes.
And but you had a business in high school. So talk about the decision process of what would have happened if you went to school.
Right. So originally I had a scholarship to go to Penn Tech for engineering. And it was a pretty good scholarship to go there. And my parents were really pushing it, especially having a father with an engineering background. He had a way to get me into the engineering field like quickly where, I would have a good position starting out. But I'm like, it's that there was always a limit, right? There was always a limit to like, this is how much you can make per year. And the career was just basically is a dead end job. It would be the same thing every single day. And that's not really what I wanted. And I just looked at the opportunity cost of going to school versus being in business and all the debt that would occur from just going to school versus doing what I'm doing now.
Paul,
It,
go.
it leaves
I'm sorry. I thought you know how I
Yeah,
get. I'll
no,
get
no,
another
it
question.
leaves me speechless in a sense because that's an awesome decision to make at 18 years old because people know it. We talk about it all the time. It's not a decision everybody would make. The easy way is to go to school. But I look at it differently. The fun way is to do what you're doing because school's always there. Schools are filled with people at set ages that go back. So I think what you're doing, and I'm not joking when I see you around all summer when I'm on early morning bike rides or runs. I feel lazy when I see you.
Tyler, a couple things. First of all, good to see you and welcome and Paul, he almost seems like a plant because of what he just said there. Like we said, Tyler, say this. We did not. it's really mature response you just delivered. That was impressive. First of all, tell us about what you do. You work 10 months out of the year and you work all the time, it sounds like, which is the worst, most horrible thing anyone could do, apparently. Most people would think is work that much. So someone must be, I don't know, torturing you or holding a gun to your head or making you do this because nobody wants to work that much. So, what do you do and why in the world would you do it?
Yeah, so what we do, we focus on, so general property maintenance is just one side of our business. So we mow properties, take care of the landscapes on the properties, but we also build landscapes for people. And then since we got into all that, now we do construction as well. So like drainage systems for homes, right? If people's basement is leaking, they have water coming in, we'll go in, we'll dig around the foundation, we'll put in drainage. So really the construction is like where I want to be in, like almost wanting to be like the next City Hill or Elmira Structures. That's kind of the direction we want to go in. And we do work with those companies every day. We're subcontracted by big companies like that to go in and perform tasks. And that's what really gets me excited about the company is the future of like where we're going, doing things like that. It's a lot different than mowing a yard, right? Anyone can mow a yard. And since really 23, I've noticed a lot of people are getting into the business. And it's
Mm.
harder for us because they're they can come in at a lower cost and they'll have no insurance. They'll have just really poor equipment and they're almost like taking jobs. I haven't really noticed that like for me so much, but like other people I've heard of it. But I feel like we're competitive in a way where it doesn't really like bother us too much. But mainly the construction is like what we're pushing. But I always want to keep crews doing property maintenance. I'm always with our property maintenance crew. That's why I'm everywhere all the time. And then most of the time I'm more of a project manager where I'll come in and if something needs to be done on our construction sites, I'll do it. But for the most part, I have guys there working all day long, and then I come in at the end of the day, check off the punch list, and then we move on to the next thing.
When you say we, who's we? What's that mean?
Yeah, so I have 8 employees.
Gotcha. Eight employees and when did you start your business? You graduated high school in 2023.
Yes, yep. So I graduated in 23. So throughout high school, I've always had at least 1 or 2 employees. I think we became an LLC, I believe in 22, but we were always like a business since then, right? Like all through, I remember starting in like middle school. So I've been doing this ever since I was about 13. So
Wow.
7 years.
And you've got eight employees and what I would consider a significant business. Um, and how old are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm 20.
20. Okay. Um, and you work a lot. And I was joking, of course, when I was saying, "Oh my gosh, you work 7 days a week, 14 hours a day, or whatever." To so many people, what a horrifying thing to hear, or for them to imagine. I would say to them, it's probably because you hate what you're doing. So my question to you is, why do you put in that much effort?
Simply just because I love what I do.
Wow, what a
Everything,
concept. Okay, keep
yeah,
going. Sorry.
yeah. Every day is something new, right? I enjoy, running the heavy equipment. I enjoy the people I work with. I built a really good team and going to work is absolutely fun. I always wanted to do something that I really like to do, and it doesn't even feel like work. Like I'm not even worried about the money concept, right? Like
Yeah.
obviously, like that's an important part of being in business, but like at the same time, like I don't really worry about it just because I enjoy it so much that it just feels like, oh my gosh, I get to, go to this project and all the fun things that come along with it.
Yeah, no, that's awesome to hear. It's clear just looking at your face and how you talk about it that you really enjoy it. And I'm just trying. Probably part of me is just trying to hammer home the point to other people. There are things out there that other people do, and I'm one of them. 7 days a week. People ask me all the time, how many hours a week do you work? I go, I have no idea. I have no idea how many hours I work because what I do is meaningful to me and it matters and I enjoy it. And therefore I tend to when I do things I don't like the workout I'm gonna do afterwards, I'm gonna be watching that clock like crazy because I want it over with. But but when you're doing things you love, you don't watch the clock. I always say to people, you ever play a sport, because a lot of people have played sports. How often were you you like, oh, I can't wait for this to end? Like it's normally not like that. You're like, I'm in the moment, I'm enjoying it. That can be your career too. Most people don't know it. So again, I'm just trying to hammer that home for someone who clearly is in that moment in doing that. So good for you, man. It's not the norm, and you should be proud of yourself. Back to that, and Paul, I know you want to ask a question. I'll just ask one more. How do your parents feel about this?
So my parents at first in 23 and especially moving into 24, they're like, you need to keep on with college and everything. And then, I kind of showed them the jobs that we're doing, and I kind of showed them the people that we have contracts with. And typically contracts are, you're signing from 3 to 5 year contracts. And then of course I started doing TV commercials, things like that, and made out pretty well doing those, got a pretty good audience from those and a lot of calls. And they're like, you can do whatever you want. We're not worried anymore.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I've always wanted to hear, right? Because they were always pretty unsure, college is the only way.
Yeah.
And my dad, he never really went to college or anything. And growing up, I always heard the struggle of him not going to college, knowing that, his job was at risk every single day because there was other people that did have an education. So now that, they're good with it, it's definitely like a gratifying feeling.
That's fascinating. Your dad's perspective. I can see where he's coming from. Absolutely. That's really good information, and I'm sure you have wonderful parents. It sounds like you probably do, and just wanted the best for you. And we're coming at it from there was a time where I would have agreed with your father, and it wasn't that long ago. And it's interesting and fascinating to see you doing what you're doing, and as quickly and to have your parents buy in with you showing them, of course. And what as a parent, I want the same thing. You want what's best for your kid, and then for you to be able to kind of put your money where your mouth is, or improve that you're doing this. Especially so young, probably was a little bit of a shock to him, in a really pleasant way. So that's really cool. But I'm glad to hear your parents are supportive, and good for them. Kudos to them for sure.
I think
Absolutely.
when it comes to parenting, we all just want what's best. And when your child says they want to do something, you don't realize if they're just going to half-ass it or go all in. And I think when you showed them what you were doing, I mean, it was clear that you're all in, and there's no looking back from that point. I want to touch base on boundaries because the class I teach, I mean, amongst other things I do, but the class I teach, we try to push boundaries all the time. And it's funny how even good, motivated students will push back. And Tyler was never that way. And I joke, in a world now where we're supposed to put the cell phones down during the school day, right? And I completely understand why. The feedback's been incredible, guys, of
That's
how
it.
much kids are interacting. They're bringing Uno cards to lunch at high school and like playing cards and doing things because they don't have their phones on them. So I get all that, but there's always danger and no exception rules. I mean, I remember in our class we'd have the phones just on the table. 2, 3 times in the 2 hour period, Tyler might be out in the hallway taking a client call. Like, how can I say no to that, right? And
Right.
so I'm excited what's going on in the schools with the phones from a
Mm.
guy, from an insider. I mean, not quite an insider with what I do compared to regular school, but there's still a time and place for phones in schools. I hope we get back to this everybody's mature about it. But I always joke about that. Tyler, you'd be going nuts, man. We'd have to sneak you out in the hallway if it was
Right.
2025, because I mean, you'd be suing me for losing money or something like that, you know? Uh, but what I also like is it's easy to get caught in the grind, especially when you own your own business and not scale out. I remember 2 years ago, you were worried about buying more equipment and a potential shed, and you've always seemed to be a step ahead with what you're actually doing. How hard is that to do, or how disciplined do you have to be to do that? Because I feel it'd be easy to just stay in the grind of mowing, maintaining properties all day and making good money.
Right. I mean, it's easy definitely like just to stay in that one place, but at the same time, like I'm like, 10 years from now, I don't want to be sitting on a lawnmower, just mowing yards. Like I can have one of my guys go out and do that,
Right.
like I'm running the business. Like I don't need to be sitting on a mower, mowing. If like some days like I get it, like I have to do that. But at the same time, like when you have a bunch of emails you have to respond to and bids you have to put in, like sitting on a mower is like it just absolutely like I don't know, it's just frustrating sometimes, like when you have to do that task, when like there's other things that are like so much of a like higher priority that you have to do. But I know like it's important, like obviously like there's things that you just have to do. So like if you have to step in, like that's being a good business owner.
Is it hard giving up control of is there quality issues when you're not mowing lawns, or you said you have a great staff, or are you lucky where that's not as big a deal?
So there used to be, and basically that's why I'm always with my maintenance crew. So I would go and I would check everything over. And if I would go check everything over and things weren't the way I liked it, I would say, hey, go back, do this, do this, do this. And that's where you're losing money. So I was able to weed through people and put them where they needed to be. So, if I saw, hey, this person's great at doing this, then that's where I put that person, instead of just getting rid of people because they're not working out in one category, moving them to things they're good at. So that's really worked out. So now everyone has their role. And especially when you do something so much, you get to be pretty good at it. So that's worked out pretty good.
Yeah, that's interesting, Tyler. I always relate that to being a, a coach. Pick a sport. I'll say football because I
I was
think
going
it's
to say softball, but go ahead with
I knew
football.
you were,
No,
but this one football's more relatable. Like everyone can't be a quarterback, right? Everyone can't be a wide receiver, a defensive end. Like some people have great skills in certain areas, but not in other areas. I guarantee you do. I guarantee Paul does. God knows I do. I'm terrible at certain things. Um, it's I'm always like, how do we put people in the right position? How do we put them in the right position? Doesn't make them a bad employee. It's our job as leaders to find the position that they fit in right best. And to hear, you say that is awesome because far too many people go, "Oh, you're not the right fit." Goodbye. And they just burn through people. And you know, it depends on the job and what you're hiring for, of course, but there's nuance to a lot of things, and that's I'm glad to hear you've had success with that. Um, Now, one of the things that I could, as you've built this business, and do you get pushback as you said you work with some of the local companies who are bigger, and you said you're looking to be kind of the next one of those. Do you get pushback because of, what would be perceived as a lack of experience? How's that work for you?
Yeah, so about 3 years ago, I took on one of the biggest projects going on right now in Horseheads, and one of the construction, he's a project manager, right? And is one of the very first times I ever met him, and definitely received a ton of pushback. Just in like one conversation, it was like 5:30 at night. He wants to get out of work. Everyone wants to go home, and here we are at a construction site building a bunch of houses. And tensions can flare definitely, especially in that sort of industry. and definitely received a ton of pushback just in this like one night. And this is like when we're first meeting everyone, and at a site that we're going to be at for 3 years. And then now we're finishing up that project, and the amount of respect that I have now from all the project managers, the owner of the construction companies is unreal. So definitely at first, like people were like, "You got to be kidding me," like he got this bid for to do all of these projects at this site, and they're like, "There's no way he knows how to do it." And that's what people thought at first, but now they know, like, oh my gosh, he's perfectly capable of performing these tasks.
Now, how do you know how to do what you do? Obviously, there's specialization involved in what you're doing. So, how do where'd this come from?
Yeah, so basically from learning as I go for the most part. Most of the stuff like isn't too complicated, and also I work with a lot of construction people, just asking them, saying, "Hey, what do you think of this? What should I do here? What's the best way to go about it?" And most people like in the industry are more than happy to point you in the right direction and even come out and show you how to do it because they want to see you do good. And the better you do, for the most part, the better they're going to do. Like I have guys that come and just bring me material with dump trucks and things that used to be in the excavation business. So, it works out for both of us. They point me in the right direction, would show me how to do the work, and then I would give them work by having them truck in materials. So it really has worked out.
Yeah, it's funny. That's a neat story because the one thing that I found in business, one of the many things I found in business that stands out to me is that the desire and willingness to be helpful to others in business. People who aren't in business oftentimes have no idea, but what you're saying there doesn't surprise me. In fact, it would surprise me if you didn't tell me that people weren't, you can make a phone call and, hey, I'm doing this. Yep, here's what we've done. Here's the willingness to help people in business is fascinating to me. And it's interesting to hear you say that. So a lot of it's been just the ability to ask questions, huh? And be humble and not be the oh my I mean, did you ever feel like oh my God, people are gonna look at me as if I don't know, if I don't pretend like I know everything, people are gonna look at me and like like I don't know what I'm doing, and therefore, that's gonna be a problem. Do you ever kind of battle that?
Yeah, like the definitely in the beginning, that's what, like, asking like these questions. I'm like, is that a stupid question? I'm like, but at the same time, like I would rather ask than make a mistake and have, the end product be a disaster. I always want to ask, that way the client is always getting top-notch work.
Yeah. No, that a mistake in your industry can be quite costly.
Yes.
It's almost like there's a business karma, just like with everything in life. And if you're supportive of others, even competitors, right? You ask questions and you're authentic, and you stand up for yourself. And once you get that reputation built, that's how you sustain it all. Everybody that's trying to take shortcuts or bully others or treat other people like crap, they don't sustain their success. Or even if they're successful, it doesn't reach the heights they think it should. So everything you're telling me, I mean, it doesn't surprise me about you, Tyler, but I mean, to be able to do what you're doing right out of high school and standing up for yourself. And most importantly, it sounds like you have a good grasp on quality control and building others. And, you guys were talking about leadership. The reason sometimes leaders don't think anybody else can do what they do is why they're the leader, right? And communicating with them is probably what leaders lack sometimes is you have to be patient and you have to build up your crew to hopefully become leaders as well. And sometimes we all feel like there's not time for that because we got so much stuff to do. So I couldn't be prouder in what you're accomplishing. I love these stories. So what's an average day like? I mean, this time of year, we're hitting the end of October and we're here podcasting in the morning and it's not even light out yet. That's probably the only reason we were able to get a hold of you for this. So what's an average day like? Even take us through like midsummer to not winding down, but shorter days now. Like how do you manage every hour at daylight each day?
Yeah, so typically in the morning, like I would say springtime, because right now we're getting kind of short on time as far as like daylight hours go. And, it's so weird. It gets light out like 7 o'clock in the morning. But so like in the springtime, wake up, check emails, make sure we're all ready to go for the day. And then my crew would get to the shop about 5:30 in the morning usually. And then we would go, we fuel up, and then either I go and drop my guys off to the landscape or construction sites if they are working those days, or just go out and just go right out to mowing properties. Then a typical day we can mow anywhere between, depending on the size of the property. Like on a Monday, we can mow up to 35 properties in a day. On a Tuesdays are really crazy. We can mow 50 properties a day on a Tuesday. Um, so we mow about 4 days a week, Monday through Thursday. That's like our mowing property maintenance schedule. And then Friday, Saturday, Sundays, I'm primarily on construction sites or landscaping sites. So those days, meeting with project managers throughout the day, emailing people for materials. It's the construction days are busy too, though, but it's a little bit more laid back than in and out of the truck all day mowing properties. That's definitely the busiest Monday through Thursday.
Is
Tyler,
that now too? Like this time of year, it's just same schedule, but just shorter days.
Same schedule, shorter days. And the problem with this time of year is we had all the daylight in the spring and summer. So now we're short on daylight. So we don't get done Monday, it gets moved to Tuesday. And then the following, everything gets spread out. So now we're mowing like 5 days a week just to get through all our properties. And that which makes less time for other activities, right? The construction, landscaping stuff, which this time of year typically most contractors don't have that much stuff to do. They're running out of work. But this year, that really hasn't been a problem. It seems like we're trying to beat the weather coming in, the ground freezing. And that was the same thing last year, and it's hard because you don't know when the ground's going to freeze.
Tyler, what's you mentioned 10 years from now, and and just the mere fact that you're looking at that is a bit unique, in my experience, for people your age, but not surprising because the world you're living in is a world of you better be looking ahead and you better be paying attention, right? You don't have the luxury of getting up and punching the clock and punching out and forgetting about things until tomorrow, right? And then looking forward to your weekend off, or the other things most people out there are doing. And when I say luxury, I don't really mean it's much of a luxury, to be honest with you, but what do you want? Like, why are you doing this?
Yeah. So I had someone ask me that question the other day, like, why are you working so much? Like, what's the point of working so much? And I mean, I figured just do it now, get it done now, because really 10 years from now, I don't want to be working a 14 to 16 hour long day. Like, that's not really what I want to do. Cause like, I like the way I feel now, I'm like, oh my gosh, like you wake up with like very minimal sleep and things. And like 10 years from now, I don't want to have to do that. Like, I want to be able to work an 8 hour day, get everything done that I do now just in that 8 hour day.
Mm-hmm.
So, hopefully having, more employees or better equipment to do the job.
Yeah.
That's really kind of where I want to be, and give my employees a normal work day too, because it's not only me that's working that long day, they're doing it too. And I know, you know, it's not easy for them. They don't want to have to work a 6 or 7 day work week. They want to work a 5 day work week and have the weekends with their families. But I'm sure they appreciate it, right? Because they're getting more hours and things in, but I know that that's not what they want to do. Especially, the guys that work for me that are, a bit older than me. They don't want to do that. But, it's a hard balance, right? You want to be able to get everything done and make your clients happy and get everything done that week, but also like you got to look out for yourself in the terms of you don't want to get burnt out.
Sure. No. And let me reframe the question a little bit. What are you trying to make money? Do you like the freedom? Do you want to sell the business and buy a yacht and go live in the Caribbean? Do you want to donate it all to your church? Or, I'm obviously just spouting out. Like, is there something my experience is this, and I think this is ultimately what all of us are looking for is there's something bigger. And maybe you don't even know it yet because I didn't know what mine was when I got going. I was in it because I thought I wanted to make more money. That's when I started getting my own business. I thought I want to make more money, and there was a part of me that also realized that there was no security in working for other people. It was a total trap. And it was the opposite of security. You were beholden to people you didn't want to be beholden to. So for me, those were the things. Even though I've been working for myself in some capacity now for about 20 years, but totally for myself for 11, um, what I haven't seen a paycheck in 11 years. During that time, though, is when I realized, oh, this wasn't about money. This is about not being beholden to people, but it's about other things. Have you given a lot of thought to that? And there's no right or wrong answer by any means. It's all individualistic here, and so. But was there something that happened? Because there are things that happened to me. Was there something that happened? Was there a conflict? Was there I don't know. Was there did God come down and speak to you and said I need you to go do this? I don't know. Was there anything? And maybe the answer is. I hadn't really thought of it yet. That's fine too. I'm just curious if you have.
Yeah, so I guess like for me, like I want to be able to do like other things in the future, right? Like not like similar to like what I'm doing now, but like when an opportunity presents itself, right? Like if someone says, "Hey," like I had someone come to me the other day, like I want to get out of the industry. Do you want to buy me out?
Mm,
And a business that I really like and I'm passionate about and so on I've always looked up to. And I guess something like that when opportunities like that present themselves, be able to have the funds to do that
hmm
and just say, hey, yeah, absolutely, and not even have to think about it. I guess that's kind of where I want to be like 10 years from now. you
Great.
know like if something comes up, like a franchise or something comes up that I'm into, or just like a building that comes up for sale, that has a business in it, like something like that. I would just want to be able to just do that. That's like kind of what's always in the back of my mind.
Yeah, no, that's interesting, and so you've definitely got a growth mindset, and which I frankly I think is super healthy, and want to be able to take on more things, and like you said, when opportunity comes, you want to be able to take it. I will tell you, Tyler, if I had to predict that the one thing I've learned over the years is I always was like I wish I'm looking for opportunity, and then all of a sudden now there's more opportunity than ever. Like it's everywhere. So once you open up yourself to it and build a reputation, that helps. There's opportunity everywhere. Probably for a guy like you, never be a lack of opportunity. It's being smart about taking it, taking the right ones. But I'm confident saying you're going to have a lot of opportunity in your life, and putting yourself in a position to take advantage of those is a very smart way to be thinking. So that's good for you.
Thank you.
It's incredible. I mean, it's an educator. I started out as the normal teacher, and what I focus with students now is your circle means everything. I mean, I don't think it's any coincidence, Matt. We started reconnecting 10 years ago, and I do things differently now, right? And I have other people that mentor me and do the same thing. And what the biggest lesson I try to get to future Tylers is when you work for yourself, as long as you're not afraid to put in the hours, and as long as you're not afraid of work, and as long as you're developing skill sets that you can use anywhere in the country, you're safer than the person that gets hired. Like, I'm a better teacher now because I have other things I do, and I'm not worried if I lost my teaching job. And you become better when you have skill sets and you're not afraid to use them, and you don't buy into this false sense of someday I'm going to retire and do nothing. Because to circle back to the beginning of Tyler's conversation, you went to Florida and after a month you're bored. And I was talking to my students about you, Tyler, and I go, I was talking about what you do, and I go, he goes to Florida, and I go, give him a year or two, he's going to start a business down in Florida because he's not going to just sit down there and not embrace opportunity. And like you just mentioned, when you have this mindset, and Matt said the same thing, all these other opportunities start flying at you. You're probably going to say no more than you say yes to opportunities you never even thought would exist. And that's fun, and that's the freedom, and that's why you work so hard, right?
Right.
Yeah, I think Tyler, you're a wonderful example to forget young people. I mean, them, of course, but most people, I would say, who never had I would put myself in that category at your age. I never would have had the courage to do what you're doing,
Yeah.
and um, you know, I think it's just such a great lesson for everyone. And I just love the way you came out of the box talking about, your schedule and what it looks like, because as a business builder myself and someone who is so passionate about it, it's rare I get to talk to people, unless I'm talking to business owners. It's almost no one that I talk to who has a kind of enthusiasm you have. And I wish I could put it on display for everyone and go, no, this is what you're going for. And it doesn't have to be in your business or my business or business period, but it should be in something you're doing in your life. Like this is the thing that you're looking for. You think you're looking for retirement or someone to take your problems away, someone to say you don't have to work so you can sit on a beach or you can fish or you can golf or you can crochet or whatever it's called. That's what people think they're looking for, but but it's empty. There's nothing there. What you're really looking for is what you are doing every day. You have a purpose. You're building things. You're developing relationships. You're taking care of 8 families. You've been doing it for, you're 20 years old. You're taking care of 8 families every week, are getting fed and housed and supported by the work you're putting in, and they're putting in as well, of course. But the business you built and what you've done, that doesn't happen by accident. Let me tell you, the government doesn't do that. No, people like you do that, Tyler. People like you make this world go round and provide the kind of opportunities for other people and the kind of motivation and the kind of dreams that other people get to chase. And you're the example. And you're at 20 years old what people should be looking up to, not some politician or somebody else saying, I'm gonna take care of you. No, you're what it's about, and you're the American dream, and you're the thing that people should be chasing, and what you're doing. So, I hadn't planned this speech, but good for you, and I hope your parents watch this, and I hope your friends watch this, and I hope strangers watch this and go, that's what it's about. That's why we're literally here on this earth, to do the things that you're doing. So keep doing what you're doing and keep motivating people and keep dreaming and building, and there is absolutely no limit to what you can do, and all the people you're going to drag with you along the way to give a better life and better opportunities and more hope and more experiences. You're going to do great things, not just for you but for so many others, and that's what it's about.
Yes, I agree.
Tyler, when Matt runs for office, will you build our campaign headquarters?
Yes.
I'm
Well,
joking. I couldn't resist, man.
I know I could never win for office because I'd say, go to work, go work hard,
Yeah, no,
go work 90 hours a week like Tyler, and everyone would be like, I'm voting over this way.
yeah, no, I get it. I'm gonna end with this, Tyler. This has been great, but maybe it's already happening to you. You've done well. Soon people are gonna start saying, "Man, you're lucky. You get to go to Florida. Man, you're lucky. You have your own business." Do people ever say that to you?
All the time, yeah.
But they could be lucky too if they did what you did.
Right.
So we joke about that because even in my 14 months of my new endeavor, I get that all the, oh, you're lucky. Okay, where were you all summer when I was working 15-hour days building the place, right? Like what you do and what Matt does. So that's a joke with Matt and I. If someone says you're lucky, it just means you're a hard worker that's doing okay. That's what it's code for.
Yes.
So I hope you keep being lucky, Tyler, and thanks so much for coming on.
Well, thank you for having me.